Hello, in this lecture we're going to talk about the four central economic questions. Four questions that economics attempts to answer on a broad scale. The first question being what to produce. So from a broad sense, what are we going to produce is going to be the basic economic question. For example, should we produce more manufacturing? Should we have more agriculture? This is going to be a question that economics is going to need to answer in some way. Next, we have how much should we produce? So once we decide what we're going to produce, what we're going to spend our time making, how are we going to do it? For example, do we want more automated systems to make something? Do we want more manual labor in order to make something? Are we going to have laws in place for less pollution and other types of restriction laws? Or are we going to have laws in place that don't have those restrictions in place? How are we going to produce the things that we are going to produce? Next economic question is for whom to produce it. So we've decided what to produce, how to produce it. Now we need to decide how to distribute the things that we have produced. Many times we're going to get a response to this question that we should distribute in a way that is fair, but that's kind of a loaded response because then we need to ask what is fair. Fair means different things to different people. There's usually two extremes to the idea of what fair is. One extreme would be that we should distribute to the people that contributed most to the production, meaning the people that took the raw materials and made the things that we actually do consume are the people that should be distributed more of the distribution because that incentivizes people to make more stuff. And on the other extreme, of course, we have the idea that the people that are most in need are the people that should be distributed more because those are the people that need it most. And those are the two kind of extreme ideas of the distribution in terms of what is fair. And usually, again, the answer for most people is probably somewhere in the middle, meaning we want to incentivize production by distributing to people that produce. And we also want to make sure that everybody is meeting their needs in terms of the allocation as well. That's going to be one of the basic economic questions. Next economic question, who decides the first three questions? Meaning, who decides what we're going to produce? Who decides how we're going to produce it? Who decides who gets what once it has been produced? You can see on the one extreme, I have a king over here, so you can think of a monarch. We probably don't think of a king anymore, but we think of a centrally planned area, some small group of people making those decisions, whether it be a monarch, whether it be a communist country, meaning we have a small group of people that make the decisions in terms of what we're going to produce, how we're going to produce it, who gets what. And that's on the one extreme. On the other extreme, we've got a free market, meaning that's the idea of removing one individual, small group of people, but having the market forces that are going to determine who gets what. That's going to be the idea, of course, of the invisible hand. No one makes those decisions individually. The market itself makes those decisions through people's wants and desires within the market. Now, again, we have these as two extremes. In the real world, most countries are not at the two extremes. Most countries are somewhere in the spectrum between the two. For example, if we're talking about communist China, they're going to be more centrally planned, but they're also going to have a lot of market-based ideas within that centrally planned area. So they're not really completely centrally planned. They're just more closer to that area of the spectrum. If we talk about the U.S., of course, U.S. is closer to the market-based ideal, meaning that you're going to have more market forces ideal in the U.S. However, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to still have government involvement in it, and there's always a discussion in terms of how much regulation, how much government involvement should be in different types of areas. So neither one of them, neither country or many countries, most countries are not on the extreme. Like many things, it's going to be more of a spectrum, and the question is where should the people be on the spectrum to get the best results.